Hi guys, so today I filmed a kind of get ready with me for work kind of things. As some of you may be aware, I work in healthcare, I do quite long shifts, and although this makeup doesn't last for the entire shift, there is no makeup that is going to last for that amount of time. It does last for a very long time, and it's only by the last couple of hours of my shift that it tends to break down and smudge, but I just thought I would share with you guys what I do and how I get ready for work most mornings of the week. And I would love it if you could press that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you are notified every time I upload a video. So if you're interested in seeing how I get ready for work in the morning, then keep watching. So normally when I get ready in the morning, I tend to have my little cup of coffee and my cereal with me and eat as I go, because otherwise there's no chance of me getting going at all on time. But normally I start by prepping my skin after my moisturiser with my ordinary cold pressed Moroccan argan oil. This routine, when I'm quick, can take me about 20 minutes. I then let it sit for a minute or two while normally I'll pack my lunch or something like that, and then I move on to my foundation. So because I work quite long shifts, my foundation does tend to dry out, so I try and prevent that by adding a drop of oil to it to kind of add some moisture. I use the CYO Long Lasting Life Proof foundation as it's quite a moisturising foundation to begin with, and adding a touch of oil just helps prevent the dryness from breaking out on my face too early in the shift. So I tend to just pop a couple of pumps on my palette. I pop a couple of drops of oil into my foundation. I then just mix it together with my finger and apply to the face. This can also sheer out foundations if you want to sheer them out a bit more and get some more moisture. I then tend to take my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush and just try and stipple the foundation into my skin. So although this is a bit more of a lighter coverage, by adding that oil in, it looks a kind of a bit more natural for work, which is what I like, and it's more moisturising. So because I do long shifts, I need that extra moisturising kind of factor. Because the last thing I want to see after 8 hours is dry parts cracking up all over my forehead. Now this doesn't always last all shift, I'll be straight, it doesn't. I wouldn't say it's like a 12.5 hour kind of wear that I look good coming out of my shift. No one looks good. But I just feel like it makes it last longer. The bits that are a bit sheer, if you want to build it up, with this foundation combo you can build up the coverage a little bit. It makes the foundation really glowy and moisturising, which I really like. I then tend to add concealer, which is the most important part of the routine. So I take this white LA Girl concealer and pop some on the palette. I then also take my Collection Lasting Perfection concealer in Fair and mix it in. And now I also have the wand to apply it. I tend to just apply it under my eyes for brightening, a little bit on top of the eyes for eye primer, along my nose for a bit of extra coverage, because I tend to lose my foundation a little bit here. I must touch my face and not realise it, but this is where I tend to lose it, so I also add it along kind of here to brighten up the centre of my face. I remember as a student that concealer was one of the few things that I actually wore makeup wise. I'd probably pop on a bit of concealer so that I didn't look too tired, and then I'd pop on some mascara and a lip product sometimes, and sometimes I'd forget. So I then take my dampened Real Techniques sponge and just kind of blend the entire thing out a bit. I find that I always put enough on under my eyes that I can kind of pull it up onto the lids as well. By applying it with a sponge, it also adds some moisture to the under eye area, which I find you can lack fairly frequently if you work long hours with all that makeup on your face, because your skin really does get dried out. Then next I go in with my favourite powder to set my eyes and my cheek area to blend more products on top of. So that's currently the Coty Air Spun powder. I remember in my last video I kept calling it the Coty powder, and I really don't know why. This is the translucent powder. The only problem I have with this is you can see there's nothing to kind of keep it covered. It did kind of come with this like plasticky lid kind of bit, but those never stay on. So that's the only thing I don't like about this, to be honest. I just don't feel like I can get the amount I want. I feel like I've got powder everywhere every time I open it. So I'm just going to set my eyes and my cheeks. Now I am really careful about not putting too much powder on because I have a lot of texture here and here, and it really dries my eyes out and emphasises that texture when I put too much powder on. I find the powder does emphasise my texture a little bit anyway, so it's quite important for me to avoid adding more texture than I need to. I've kind of realised that the Makeup Geek pan that I used does go patchy on me. I thought it was my application, I was pretty sure it was my application. And then I started using the product that I used to use all the time, which is the e.l.f. Eyebrow Duo in Light for my contour. And it's not patchy at all, it blends out beautifully, it's a little bit more cool toned. It just suits me a lot better. So you can see with how dirty this is, how much I use this powder. I absolutely love it. So just take a bit on my Real Techniques brush and try and carve out my cheeks. Now, let's pretend that I can contour for this bit, but it's kind of how I like to do my face normally. Powder is that you kind of have to layer it up. And this shows up a lot more heavily on camera, I feel, than it does in real life. So I just pull the contour out to here and then kind of blend it out. Now it does look a bit much on camera, but in real life I'm really pleased with how that went. It doesn't always go that well when I've got a coffee in one hand and I'm trying to keep my eyes open. So next I do tend to go in for highlight. To me, no matter where I'm going, my highlight should always be glowing. So I use, on my Zoeva 134 Luxe Powder Fusion brush, some of my Mario Badescu spray that I use to normally set my face. And I just give this a spritz. Ooh. And then pop into my now heavily used highlighter shade of my Makeup Revolution blush palette. Now this looks like it has kind of purple flecks in it, which I do get a touch on the cheek, but it's not like, you know, the straight purple highlighters you can get in a lot of kits that, like, we kind of got over the phase of colourful highlighters now. This doesn't have that, and that's what I really like. So I take a lot of the highlighter on the brush. Oh my god, that freaking glow. I swear I could apply highlighter on top of highlighter for hours and hours and hours and never get bored or think it's too much. So around here especially I can see a little bit of that purple sheen, but I think it's quite nice. I don't feel like it's too much, and like I said, I don't feel like it's a very bright and intense in your face I'm purple kind of highlighter. Then just a bit around the bridge of the nose on the end. Next I go in for blush, so I take one of the colours from this palette. Like I said in my last video, I have been enjoying these ones. I like to go for something a little more classically pink. I then kind of smile and blend it outwards and upwards onto my cheeks. And then, because I'm looking at the camera and talking rather than focusing on what I'm doing, I end up with a bright pink face. Oh, it just looks so pretty. And I feel like with work, it's so easy to neglect yourself. I'm just going to take some more of this powder and just blend my cheek out a little bit. But yeah, I think it's very easy to neglect yourself. If you don't want to wear makeup for work, that's absolutely fine. But I think for me, it's one of my little kind of treats for the day. And when you're so busy at work, at least you've had that treat in the morning. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, if I've got time, I also like to take a bit of bronzer from the Rimmel bronzer that I always use, that I'll link down below. And just take this big brush and just take a couple of swipes. Take the excess off and just bronze my forehead. Just a little bit, not too much. So the way CYO foundation used to settle into my lines, you can now see that as I mixed it with the oil, and how I have been using many facial expressions in this video, there aren't really many lines on my forehead. I mean, you can see my scar quite obviously, but you can't see many of the other lines, which I like, which means it's not settling too much, which can add to foundations looking cakey. Next, I do my eyebrows, and I realised as I looked back on the last video I did, my eyebrows looked proper dark. I mean, in real life they look better, I can guarantee they look better. So I tried using this shade from the Makeup Revolution Redemption palette. I really like it for my eyebrows, so I just tend to take with my 17 eye brush from here to do my eyebrows. And because I wear glasses for work, it's more important to me to have nice eyebrows than eyes really, because you can't see that much behind your glasses. But my eyebrows frame my glasses, so it's quite important to have nice eyebrows, but it's also quite important for them to look natural as well. I will probably fast forward through this and add some music because it's so difficult for me to talk when I do my eyebrows that the focus is very much real. So as you can see, my eyebrows kind of now look a bit more natural in terms of the colour, and the shape is probably still the same. So now I have my eyebrows on, I move on to eyes, and I do something very simple for my eyes because, like I said, I wear glasses. You're not going to really see what's behind there. I mean, if you put something bright and hideous on, like some kind of blue garage door kind of situation, then they're going to see it. I tend to go into this shade in my Makeup Revolution palette with my double-ended Boots brush and blend it out into the crease. I just tend to blend this out into the crease, create a little bit of a transition for the only other shadow that I tend to put on my eye. Today I think I will go for this shade. So I keep this a little more tightly packed into the crease. I don't tend to drag it quite as far as I dragged that transition shade, because that will then just completely cover up the previous colour that I put in, and that's not what you need. After that, to finish my eye makeup, I tend to pop on a bit of mascara. I tend to pop on ones that I kind of like, but I'm not massively keen on, and ones that aren't difficult to remove. For example, the L'Oreal Miss Baby Roll mascara looks really beautiful on once I've sorted out the one-eye clumping thing it does, but it's quite hard to remove in comparison, which is really good if you want your makeup to last all day. And I do have to take the time to declump one of my eyes with the L'Oreal mascara, whereas with the number 7 Lash Impact mascara that I tend to use when I'm at work, I don't have to do that. Often on my channel, you'll see me focusing and I pop my tongue out. It's just one of those things that I do that everyone calls me out on. So I tend to keep this in my coat pocket, and then once I get in the car I'll pop the mirror down and I will apply this because I find it really long lasting. This is the most long lasting, comfortable liquid lip I have ever worn. So this is the Gosh Liquid Matte Lip, and I normally use the shade Nugget Crisp because it's quite a neutral shade. It's not too bright. I do have a red one, but I'm not going to wear that for work. That's a little bit much. So I just pop a thin layer of this on. I always as well set my face with the setting spray I've used in every single one of these videos because it's my absolute die-hard favourite. It's my Mario Badescu spray with aloe, herbs and rose water. So I give my face a generous spritz with this and I take it with me, and then in a break, if I feel like my skin is drying out a bit, I use this as a refresher and I find it really helps. And then finally I pop my glasses on. Could have cleaned them for this video, Jess, but never mind. I remember once going to the toilets in a bar and I hadn't even drank and I got my facial spray out to refresh my face. I refreshed and then realised I had my glasses on, so I had this fine mist all over my glasses and missed a good chunk of my face out in the process. But yeah, so this is my look. If you like these kind of videos, these chit-chatty short kind of get ready with me in style videos, then press a thumbs up and subscribe so that I know you guys like that thing and want to see it more. And you can always add me on Snapchat and Instagram to see what I'm up to. But I really appreciate you guys watching.